Alright, let's check out what we got on this one. So this is the team test for Chapter 8. So the first question we had Tobias the trickster. So he gave us this quadratic equation, but because he's a trickster, he gave us a C instead of a number there. So as they say, Team 1 was furious. So Tobias gave a couple clues. We have two roots that are different, and we also know that x minus c is a factor. So it's a quadratic, so I'm not quite sure where to go, so I may as well start with the boxes and the diamonds that we've been doing in class with all of the other quadratics. So we can draw our box, we can draw our diamond, and we can say, alright, well I know x squared has to go here, and I know 4c has to go here, and I know I can multiply those to get 4cx squared, and that goes up here. And I know what negative 11x goes down here, but at this point that's kind of all the information that we have from the equation. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. So we look and we say, alright, well we know we need two different ones, and we also know that x minus c is a factor. Well, the factors are kind of the results that are on the outside here. So I know that this is x minus c. And at this point, this is where we can say, well, x times x is x squared. X times negative c is negative cx, and negative c then times, it's got to be a negative 4. And this has got to be negative 4x. Alright, pretty good. So I know that my roots are here are x minus 4 is one of my factors, and my other factor is x minus c. So I can use this information to get my roots. I set them each equal to 0. Minus c equals 0, plus 4, x equals 4, plus c, x equals c. Well, I'm still kind of in trouble because I still got c. So I got to figure out what c is. Well, the other cool thing is I know that since I know these two now, I actually know what these two things are over here in the x. And we practice these two together, they multiply to this top one. These two together, they add up to this negative 11x. So that's kind of where I have to go to figure out what c is. So I've got negative 4x plus negative cx has to equal negative 11x. Well, I got to get c by itself because, again, I want to find out what c is. So I'm going to move my 4x to the other side. So I'm going to do plus 4x plus 4x. So I get negative cx equals negative 7x. And I got to get c by itself. Since I'm multiplying, I got to do the opposite of multiply, which is divide. So I'm going to divide by everything on this c, which is the negative sign and the x. So that gives me c equals 7. Great. So that means that over here I know that x equals 7. So for my two answers, hey, I need two x's. I got two x's. I got a 4 and I got a 7. On the back, these top two are kind of the two that people actually had a lot of trouble with. These turned out to be the trickiest questions on the test. Not because of what to do, but kind of where it plots to point and how the shape should look. So pretty much everybody factored this out really well. There was a trick. You could have used a small trick. I'm going to use the trick. I can factor out that 2 first because I could divide everything by 2. X squared minus 2x minus 8. Not too many people did that. They just left it as 2x squared. That's okay. It'll still work out. The reason I did that is because it makes my boxes and my diamonds a little bit nicer. This is just x squared, and this is minus 8. So this is minus 8x squared, and then I got a negative 2x right there. So I got to think, let's see, multiplies to 8. Well, that's 4 and 2. I need that to be a negative, so that's negative 4 plus 2. So negative 4x, 2x. Alright, so I can put those in my boxes over here. Negative 4x, 2x, and in the same between x squared and minus 4x is an x. So that's good. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. 2 times x is 2x, and I've got my two factors. X plus 2, x minus 4. So at this point, I then want to say, well, I got to get my zeros. So just like we did on the front, we're going to set those each equal to 0. Uh-oh, run out of room. But this one, we do minus 2 on each side, we get x equals negative 2. This one, we add 4 to each side, we get x equals 4. So we know those 2 points are 2 of the points we got to plot, negative 2, 0, and 4, 0. So I'll go ahead and plot those. Negative 2, 0, 4, 0. Now we need a third point. Well, we practiced getting the y-intercept, and a lot of people did that really well also. We just know we could put 0 in for x, so that's 0, 0, 16. So 0 minus 0 is 0, minus 16 is negative 16. So we can come down here and we plotted this really well. But then we kind of forgot, back from when we did the water balloon toss and when we were in the gym with the volleyballs, the vertex, the biggest point or the smallest point, has to be directly between these two. And unfortunately, 0 is not directly between those two. So I know it's got to go a little bit lower. Since we're just sketching, we can kind of go just a little bit lower. We don't need the exact point. And we can go ahead and make a parabola. Mine's a little bit wonky over here. Just going to straighten that out a little bit more. But we want a nice smooth parabola shape. Same deal with the other one. This time they already have the answers for us. So that's pretty convenient. So we just need to solve each of those. So 2x plus 2 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. So I got 2x equals negative 2. X equals negative 1. Alright, I can plot that one. And then plus 5 plus 5. So x equals 5. Alright, I can plot that one. And then some people multiplied this together to get back to the sum, so we could use this trick. But remember, the y-intercept is where x equals 0. So if I want, I could put 0 in for each of the x's. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So I can do 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. And again, this is not directly between these 2 points, so we can't just make the u go like that. We got to actually kind of bring it down a bit. Now the actual point you can calculate, because we could actually figure out what was halfway between these two, which would be 1, 1, 1, 1 at 2. So I know my lowest point's got to be at 2. If I wanted to, I could plug 2 into the equation and I can get the actual lowest point. But again, since the directions were just 3 clear correct points, and we just needed to sketch and set a graph, these 3 points work out really well. At the end, we had a couple factoring tricks. We could do all of these the same way we did the boxes and the x's. If we do this one, the trick to this one is that this is going to be a 0. And whatever number we get here, we just need to take the square root of it, and that'll be those 2. However, it's a greatest common factor question mixed in with a difference of squares. So with the difference of squares, we practice looking at a couple of these formulas. Actually, it's not a factoring question. Not a greatest common factor. With the difference of squares, what we want to do is say, well, that is the same as 4x squared minus 9 squared. And we learn the trick that that just has to be 4x minus 9. 4x plus 9. And we're done. That's kind of it. So if we do go through the whole process by putting a 0 there, we'd end up at the same answer. So there's a trick to this one. Same deal with number 5. There's a trick to this one too. This one's the greatest common factoring one. So I look at these ones and I see, well, they both have an x in them, so I could pull that x out. And they're both divisible by 5, so I could pull that 5 out. And we get left with an x, because 5x squared divided by 5x is x. 20x divided by 5 is 4, and we're done. That's it. Now if we wanted, we could have done the boxes and the diamonds again. The trick with this one, though, is that there's a 0 here, so then there would be a 0 right there.